Good morning, W.W. Robinson. Today is September 21st, 2018, and it is day 5 in our rotation, and I have Leo here with me this morning. Leo, well, is that Leo or is that a monkey? I don't know. Which one is it?
It's Leo the monkey.
Leo the monkey. Okay, so Leo, what is for lunch today?
Grilled chicken patty on bun.
Au gratin.
Au gratin potato
Casserole.
Green beans, pineapple chunks, apple wedges, choice of milk.
Yeah, that au gratin is a tricky word, isn't it? All right, so we have Gabriella here to tell us about the weather. All right, Gabriella, come over here and tell everybody what is the weather. Come on over the screen. See you. I'm going to move this so we can see you a little bit. Right here. What is the weather today?
Cloudy.
It is cloudy. Do you think the sun may peek out later? You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope you're right. Here you go. Thank you so much. Good job. And we have Ethan here to lead us in the pledge. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, Ethan. Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
I was sitting down during the pledge.
Oh, all right. Join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we have some birthdays this morning. Celebrating on the 21st, we have one birthday, and it's, I hope I can say it right, Neliane Rivera Caraballo. I hope I said that right. And then tomorrow, celebrating a birthday, we have Brooke Deffrin, Henry George, and Cooper Hamilton. And then on Sunday, celebrating a birthday, we have Rylan Albright, Bruno Fernandez, Austin Hassefluck, and Emiliano Miliares Trujillo. And I know I did not say that right. I apologize. And let's see, we also have a staff birthday. Celebrating tomorrow is Miss Henry's birthday. So wish her a happy birthday when you see her today. And before I begin reading, do you have any shout outs?
Yes.
Go for it.
Miss Owen's class, Miss Rittenhouse's class, Miss Goodwin's class, and Miss Stoltz's class.
All right. We're on chapter 6, and this one's called The Climb. If you remember, when we left off yesterday, our robot was looking for a place that he could feel safe because the water was coming in on, the waves were crashing on him. And so he looked up, and she said, so to get up there, she would have to climb the sea cliffs. So chapter 6, The Climb. Crack, thunk, climb. Roz was having a little trouble climbing the cliffs. She had a new dent on her rear and a long scrape down her side, and she was just about to get another ding when a crab scuttled out from under a piece of driftwood. The crab looked up and immediately showed off his giant claws. Everyone was afraid of his claws, but not the robot. She just looked down and introduced herself. Hello, crab. My name is Roz. After a brief standoff, the crab cautiously backed away. And that's when Roz noticed how easily he moved over the rocks. With his wide stance and his grippy feet, the crab could crawl up and down any rock face. So Roz decided to try out his climbing technique. She spread her arms wide and clamped each of her hands onto the cliffside. She jammed one foot into a crack and lifted her other foot onto a narrow ledge. And just like that, she was climbing. Roz moved awkwardly at first. A chunk of rock crumbled in her hand, and she had trouble finding footholds. But as she climbed higher and higher, she started to get the hang of it. Seagulls squawked from the cliff nests and soared away when the robot came too close. But Roz paid them no mind. She was focused only on getting to the top. Up, up, and up she went, methodically climbing past nests and ledges and tiny trees rooted in the cracks. And before long, our robot felt the soft soil of the island beneath her. Here's a picture of Roz climbing up, and you can see the little crag down there.
A lot of words.
Yes, it does have a lot of words.
Yeah.
Chapter 7, The Wilderness. Animal sounds filled the forest. Chirps and wing beats and rustlings in the underbrush. And then from the sea cliffs there came new sounds. Heavy, crunching footsteps. The forest animals fell silent. And from their hiding places they watched as a sparkling monster stomped past. But the forest was not a comfortable place for Roz. Jagged rocks and fallen trees and tangled underbrush made it difficult for her to walk. She stumbled along, struggling to keep her balance, until her foot snagged and she toppled over like a piece of timber. It wasn't a bad fall, no dings, no dents, just dirt. But Roz was programmed to keep herself in good working order, and once she was back on her feet, she immediately began cleaning herself off. Her hands darted around her body, quickly brushing and picking off every speck of dirt. Only when the robot was sparkling again did she continue through the forest. Roz stumbled on until she found a patch of ground that was flat and open and carpeted with pine needles. It seemed like a safe place, and safety was all the robot really wanted. So she stood there, motionless, all perfect lines and angles set against the irregular shapes of the wilderness. Chapter 8, The Pine Cones. If you stand in a forest long enough, eventually something will fall on you. And Roz had been standing in the forest long enough. A gentle wind whispered through the treetops, and then a pine cone bounced off her head. The robot looked down and watched the pine cone roll to a stop. It seemed harmless, so Roz went back to doing nothing. A few hours later, a gust of wind rushed through the treetops, and then thunk. The robot looked down as another pine cone rolled away. And then a few hours after that, a howling wind tore through the treetops. It bent trunks and shook branches, and then thunk, 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 pine cones began raining down. Thunk, thunk. Roz felt something like annoyance. Thunk. She quickly scanned the area for somewhere safe from pine cones, and she spotted the perfect place when she looked up at the huge rocky shape that towered above the forest. Chapter 9, The Mountain. Roz was stomping her way up the mountain. Dense forest and rocky outcrops forced the robot to zig and zag and backtrack. But after an hour of steady hiking, she arrived at the craggy mountain peak. Grasses and flowers and shrubs sprouted from every pocket of soil, but there were no trees at the top. Roz was safe from those annoying pine cones. She dusted herself off and then carefully climbed up a leaning slab of stone to the very highest point of the entire mountain. The robot slowly turned her head completely around. She saw the ocean stretching to the horizon in every direction. And in that moment, Roz learned what you and I have known since the beginning of the story. In that moment, Roz finally realized that she was on an island. Roz looked down and surveyed the island. Starting from the sandy southern point, the island grew wider and greener and hillier until it finally jutted up into the rocky cone of the mountain. In some places, the mountain fell away, leaving sheer cliffs, and waterfall rushed off one cliff and fed a river that wound its way around a great meadow in the center of the island. The river flowed past wildflowers and ponds and boulders and then disappeared into the forest. Blurry shapes suddenly cut through the robot's vision. She refocused her eyes and saw vultures circling above the foothills. Then she noticed lizards warming themselves on a distant rock. A badger peeked out from a berry bush. A moose waded through a stream. A flock of sparrows turned in perfect unison above the trees. The island was teeming with life, and now it had a new kind of life, a strange kind of life, artificial life. And we'll stop there for today. So you can choose to be the kind of leader that you would follow and make it a great day. So long.